Don't think.
Fear is my ally.
The Force will be with you.
We are encouraged to love.
Be mindful of your thoughts.
I will not betray the Republic.
Hey, Your Worship, I'm only trying to help.
Scruffy-looking nerve herder.
I'm not afraid.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Dad, when are you going to stop blighting the environment with this atrocity? My God, can't you see that it wants to die? Let it go.
So, Forbes investigative reporter Caroline Reid finally dropped an article about the Acolyte, but it wasn't exactly the one I would have written, but let's talk about it. So, she basically, the headline is, Disney forced to reveal unequal pay on Star Wars show, The Acolyte. Now, where did she get these? She probably went to Company's House, like I did, and looked up what the numbers were. And that's where she got this. Apparently, what stood out to her was the fact that the female workers, employees, working on this godless dumpster fire that was created, weren't paid as much as the men were. Okay, interesting. Hold on to that. Reid also bemoaned the fact that the show gets an 85% from the paid shills, but only 13% from the fans, and wonders out loud about review bombing and everything. There is no review bombing. Those critics are paid to lie about things. But then she opens up and talks about the New York Times panning this garbage, and also the Rolling Stone, among others. She doesn't mention John Campea, Christian Harloff, and others. Okay, this is a BFD in some ways. And when you look at it, you're going to say, okay, I get it, I think. I get what she's doing. By the end of it, you will understand where this is going. She's also talking about how they've saturated the market with Star Wars. They really haven't. They've only saturated the market with really bad Star Wars, The Acolyte. Okay. And they refuse to take the narrative away from the black pills and the black pill blobs, who do not think critically. They just hate Disney. Okay, which is not the way you do things like this. Okay. And it's interesting to me, all of this, because these women, these two clowns, come off of this with kind of an attitude that they feel like they can do things and pretend they are something and they're not. Okay. Problem with the Acolyte and looking at the numbers is that the numbers are there for everybody to see. Company's House and other institutions in Britain are public access. Anybody can look at them. And the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on. And the white savior complex is alive and well here. Okay? And to me, it is interesting how Kennedy again tries to defend Headland and herself by blaming the male fan base. Okay. Why do you keep doing this? Is it the only way they can defend themselves? I think it is. I really think that the only way these people can shield themselves from criticism is by calling the male fans misogynists, the white fans racists, and normal straight people who hate this shit, cisgendered homophobes and transphobes. And it's like, No. No, let's talk more.
I thought one just drew a pentagram on the floor and chanted, "I summon thee," 3 times.
Maris's money?
Yeah. I mean, you told me that Maris's family money came from timber?
It did. It did come from timber.
Oh, that's what you really think?
Well, of course, it's true.
And that's what all of Maris's friends think, too? All those country club snobs who would kill for a good piece of dirt on someone?
What are you talking about? If her family money didn't come from timber, where did it come from? Urinal cakes?
I don't believe this. All these years.
The doyenne of Seattle's elite, looking down her nose at everyone in sight. She owes it all to this. She's managed to have her urinal cake and eat it, too.
As I think we now have what's known in the legal profession as a...
Talk to Maris's lawyers.
No. There's some news you want to deliver yourself. May I?
Absolutely.
Hello, Marta. Like to speak to Maris. Oh, why not? Ah. She's in the final level of her guru's serenity training, the week-long vow of silence, day 6. No, Marta, that's all right. She doesn't have to come to the phone. Just give her this message. I've flushed out her family secret. Hello, Maris.
So here's the crux of it. Kennedy has always championed herself as being the champion for women's rights and equality in Hollywood. But the Acolyte, the women who worked behind the scenes, were not paid as much as the guys for, I'm going to assume, the same job. Okay. And I find it interesting, very hypocritical. I mean, if you think about it, both Kennedy and Headland hide behind their own sex. They hide behind their own, they hide behind the race of the actors. They hide behind personal preferences and then take those personal preferences and hit the fan base with them because that's all they've got. All right. And then when you look at it, the people who worked on the show, at least the women, weren't paid as much. Now, I, as someone who am not a feminist at all. You guys know that. Don't need them, don't want them around. I don't hate men, I love men. You know, as someone like this, I look at the pay scale and go, that's not what I'm concerned about. If Sparrow was telling the truth, and I think he was, where the hell did Kennedy and Headland get the money to make this? They hire Karen McCarthy. 2 weeks later, they fire her, and Headland turns in a show that's not even a quarter finished. Not even a quarter finished. The shows are barely, 35 minutes long. They're shorter than the rest of Disney's offerings on Star Wars. And, instead of wondering about that, the structure, etc., McCarthy doesn't say a word about it. Where'd the money come from? If the show cost $48 million in pre-production, are you shitting me? All right. Then another $100 million or so more, $120 million more in production and post-production. Why isn't that up on the screen? Why isn't that reflected on the screen? And again, why did, Kennedy miss Equality for All not make sure that the women who are working behind the scenes get the same jobs guys were doing, were getting paid the same. All right, whoever instituted this article, the headline is misleading. It should be Lucasfilm, not Disney. Because at the end of the article, when you finish it, you get all the way down, Kathleen Kennedy's the one being called out. My finger points to Bob Iger. And the reason why my finger points to Bob Iger in this is simply he's not the one being blamed at this point. She is. The show, I mean, if Caroline Reed ever talked to Cameron Pasha about it, it would be really, really great. Because he could fill her in on some things. You know, when you've got Karen McCarthy's lawyer stumped and mystified as why the lawsuit hasn't moved forward and why Disney's stonewalling, where'd the fucking money come from? Okay, where? All right, and this is a much bigger deal than pay scale. But the pay scale here is set up to embarrass Kennedy further. Okay. I mean, whoever said to Caroline Reed, be even-handed with the fans. Don't, tell them like they're completely correct even though they are. You can't do a Kristen Harloff. There's blame on both sides. Though I think the fans have every right. Look, when you get hit in the face by a bully, you have every right to break his nose. Every right. Okay. And that's the truth. So, but what Reed did was she doesn't look into the financing. She doesn't look into the why was Karen McCarthy fired after only 2 weeks? Did Bob Iger actually give these clowns the go-ahead to make this? Now, to the black pills, yes, of course he did. But then these people are delusional if they think that they can somehow force Disney into bankruptcy. You're never going to do that. That's not happening. And it's not a Disney company problem. It is a Disney upper management, Lucasfilm personnel problem, okay? And trying to force these companies to go under because you're pissed off and are seeking vengeance is a waste of time and breath, okay? It's a waste of time and breath. Caroline Reed is actually doing it right here. Grabbing the pay scale and saying, why is someone who is such a champion of equality and women's rights not enforcing these rights on any of the productions that she's been head of? Okay? Why are the women who did the same jobs, again, I assume, that the guys did behind the scenes of this dumpster fire, why weren't they paid the same? Let me explain why. This carries a lot more weight in Hollywood. Like with hummingbird-brained women like Jennifer Aniston, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Fat Oprah Winfrey, okay? And Barbara the Maggot Streisand, okay? It carries a lot more weight. That's why, okay, they did that. And it's very interesting to me that they're taking this tack. But again, this is an article set up to embarrass Kennedy further. And the only person I can assume that would want her to be embarrassed is Bob Iger. Okay? The more embarrassed she is, the bigger the deal is. So We haven't heard anything about the meeting yet. Sparrow has not gotten back to Cameron, and when they do, and I'm not using they as a pronoun, we should hear some more. But this is definitely a positive sign, this article. Anyway, gotta go. You guys have a good day. I may go live later. See you around the galaxy.